Whenever I think about Paul's jealousy of Greg being in a romantic relationship with Rose when she wants to be in that type of relationship, the only thing I can think of is that Paul's past in comparison to Garnet's and Amethyst's is way more personal, considering that she's been hiding so many secrets, and yet at the same time, I can't imagine what her future would have been like if she was in a romantic relationship with Rose. Then again, if we ended up seeing Greg actually fusing with Rose despite being a human, I'm pretty sure that the foreshadowing of Steven fusing with his father in the Steven Universe movie would have been awkward to think about. Like I said, it really feels like that this fusing thing when it comes to this episode in particular, aside from the last episode that I've talked about when it comes to forced fusion, Greg really had a lot to learn when it comes to Rose being a gem, but also an alien. The episode we need to talk is the sequel to Story for Steven, where Greg tells the story centering around his relationship with Rose, with Conley being involved. During the performance of What Can I Do For You, Paul fuses with Rose to fuse into Rainbow Quartz, which really shocked Greg so much that he needs to perform the same movements as Rose and Paul, but unfortunately he's not flexible enough. And again, it's because he's not a gem. And this also leads to a point where Paul tells Greg that fusion is the ultimate connection between gems, and considering that he realizes that Rose is acting way more different, considering that she's an alien when it comes to her being a gem, she's a lot more different, and he's a lot more different, and he is unsure if this relationship will ever work out. Rewatching this episode, knowing full well that this is the sequel towards Story for Steven, with more screen time centering around Rose and Greg's relationship with her, the only thing that really made me appreciate is the fact that there was a lot more going on when it comes to Rose's character. Believe me when I say this, whenever Rose is on screen and how she's just enjoying herself, you can really tell that when Greg tells her that he should talk like a normal human being, like a real human being at that, it's becoming clear that she is really Pink Diamond after watching the entire series, because knowing full well that this is what Pink Diamond wanted to do, it really feels like that she doesn't understand what it's like to be a real person, and the only expression that she would give is express happiness. I'm fully aware of Pink Diamond's true colors when it comes to the information centering around her character since A Single Pale Rose came out, but think about it. It really feels like that the only way that she can handle escapism, not to mention coping with her problems on being Alita but also bratty, is mainly manipulating Greg and the other characters, and as far as I'm concerned, this could either be worse after rewatching the series for a second time, but for me personally, it really makes this episode not really that complex after watching the series for the first time. Because I'm not those types of people who are into the show and then gave up on it towards the end. I'm sorry, but I'm just not those types of people. I may have done that with a couple of cartoons, but that's mainly rarely of how I felt. For me personally, even if I didn't watch all the episodes when it comes to my second binge watch, rewatching these episodes and how they did a lot more when it comes to planning that Rose was Pink Diamond all along, they clearly wanted to make these episodes age differently. I mean, granted, I may be against that, but when it comes to this show in particular, I really don't find that as a problem, as much as other people would say. I think that this episode really demonstrates of how much that the characters during Greg's youth is mainly handling the experiences of Greg being around, and then when it comes to fusion, Paul knows that she has the upper hand, but at the end of the episode, she doesn't. Three Gems and a Baby is the closest that centers around Paul trying to move forward, knowing full well that Rose has finally turned into Steven, and knowing full well that this relationship that she has with Steven in the series has improved a lot more. There was a lot of focus when it comes to the characters in these episodes. Even if people may agree with me or not, I really feel like that when people instantly just trash on this show when they turn into X fans, despite the points being valid, them going hardcore on this show going downhill is a little too far. I'm just saying, I understand that you wanted more from this show, and I understand that, but at the same time, it's a little over-exaggerating to actually see that this show has gone downhill that much, because I'm not praising this show as the best cartoon ever. I have other favorite cartoons and other shows, but the thing is, upon this second rewatch, the more I think about my own perspective and what I think about these episodes in particular, they're not... They don't age badly in comparison to how the later seasons and future has turned this franchise into. Even by defending this show when it's harmless, it's still not enough to avoid toxicity, to the point that what's the point of defending media when it's harmless and yet you're still gonna be into backlash? This is why that some fandoms like Steven Universe and other fandoms are difficult to get into when it comes to positivity, and I understand that you can't have positivity all the time. When you enforce negativity to the max, then you're not any better than the people who are having a normal perspective towards Steven Universe. Because believe me, I've seen reaction videos, latest ones centering around Steven Universe, and I can understand their point of view a lot more, even though I do not agree with them with all the time. Seriously, the moral video of Star Wars never grows up, or cannot grow up, and it just shows people reacting to Star Wars, is indicating that that's just drawing the line. I know it's almost a year ago when it comes to the Ahsoka series, but at the same time, me not watching it is not going to excuse of how toxic the Star Wars fandom is, just like how toxic the Steven Universe fandom is. There's literally no avoiding it, and all I can think of is despite with opinions being mostly valid, I'm starting to convince that those types of videos are mainly for clicks. We're seriously in the modern age where negativity is mainly for clicks, and the only negativity that I can only do for my channel at least is Cartoon Crisis 3, and I'm not even doing that daily. This video is unexpectedly long when it comes to my ranting about fandoms, but to tell you the truth, this was bound to happen since I'm about 40 episodes into this marathon, and we're not even halfway wrapping up Season 2. Believe me, the more we get into these types of episodes, the more I have more perspective on the people's opinions on the show and the episodes themselves. The only thing I can say is that this episode is really good. It may have aged differently, but at the same time, it's still good regardless. I'm giving it an 8 out of 10.